It's 11:11, guys. It's 11:11. I love that. My sister's birthday is actually 11:11. Relaxing, I love that. My night has been everything but relaxing. Yeah, it's been a little crazy. I feel like this week has been kind of crazy in general with the weather that we're having. Anybody that's in Northwest Ohio, you know it's been hot as literal hell outside right now. Just absolutely insane. I think we had one day that was kind of chill, but then it went back to being super hot. So, yeah. Really just... I should be going to bed, but I'd rather come on here and talk about politics, which is what I've done this evening, so. I actually had somebody come up to me today while I was dropping off food for some friends at work, and recognize me from TV, which was like, actually that's never happened to me before, so that was a really weird experience, because she kept staring at me from like across the room, and then eventually was like, I recognize you from here. So it's kind of funny. So I usually ask if anybody has any like political questions and then to pop them in the chat. I had a really interesting political conversation with somebody tonight. It was a really random conversation. Yes, let's talk politics. It was, like I said, I was dropping off food for friends and they work at a bar, and some guy just kind of randomly started a political conversation with me. And, you know, it wasn't necessarily politics. It was more about just like, I mean, it was about politics, but it was also just about like the state of American democracy in general. And it was really interesting for a number of reasons. But he nearly brought me to tears when he was talking about, you know, I asked him, what's the most important issue to you? And he said the women in my life and protecting their rights and their freedoms. But it wasn't necessarily like just talking about, hi, Erin. Thank you. I appreciate you. It wasn't just necessarily talking about like protecting a woman's right to choose. It was just about protecting women in general. And that was like, it was beautiful, but he nearly brought me to tears. I've had some really interesting conversations with people today. So yeah. Anyway, how's everybody feeling this week, politics-wise, just in general? Thank you. Any thoughts on media political bias and the downfall of legacy media and the rise? I think the rise of social media has been really interesting in terms of politics for a number of reasons. I think that for candidates like me, social media has been one of the biggest assets. Okay, before I continue, why is it that every time I jump on to do live, my phone tells me that I have 20% left? Like, I'm not kidding. I have done this 3 times now, and my phone is always dying. Anyway, I think the rise of social media for some political candidates is really important. I think for others, it's definitely not as much of an asset, but that's just what makes the experience really unique with it. Like, I have heard from candidates who would love to be having the success that I'm having on TikTok. But at the same time, it's also not everything. Grassroots support is most important. So must be an iPhone. Yeah, it is an iPhone. I don't know what it is. I think it's me. I think it's like every time I want to do a live, like my phone always tells me I have 20%. It's just a coincidence. But anyway, I hope I answered your question about how I feel about social media. I think we're losing other forms of media in the sense that we need the diversity of it. I know that in my city we have the Toledo Blade is our most popular newspaper and widespread newspaper, and it's lost a lot of its credibility, and it's kind of gone down like one particular sphere, and that's really a problem because we're not having that diversity that we need when it comes to journalism, or journalists who are committed to presenting facts as they come and not with the personal opinion attached to them. I was interested in journalism for a while, and I was always interested in throwing, just the facts out there, and because I feel like we lack that so much, and I think that's really something we need to get back to. But anyway, I digress. Are you more right or left? I'm in the middle. I'm a moderate. There are things about Democrats that irritate the hell out of me, and at the moment, everything about Republicans also irritates the hell out of me. So if you want to talk about the Blade, you cannot not talk about the block. Yeah, I know. They actually live in Florida, which is really funny. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Blade. can't say I am. I'm not a fan of journalism that is not true to journalistic standards in terms of presenting fact over opinion. What's your stand? Stand on what? If you're just joining, thank you. I have no purpose for being on here other than just chatting about politics because I've had an insane night and I still need to talk about politics because I'm definitely not going to sleep very well tonight. So if you have questions for me, pop them in the comments. I love coming on here because it's so much fun and I can just be myself. They used to have their papers as propaganda for years. Yeah. The Toledo Blade. Yeah. I'm not one to bash the media or bash journalism because I value it and I see the importance in it and the importance in that it plays in democracy. But I think what really just irks me is on any side when we lose the ability to be reasonable and the ability to have reasonable conversations and just live in alternate realities. That's when we really don't get anything done, when we've lost like the ability to be freaking decent in politics. So thanks for sharing, Aaron. Appreciate you. Sophomore in college. Yeah, I'm kind of a sophomore. My college track has been kind of messed up, but it's because I'm doing things like this. It's not messed up. It's just like where I'm at. So yeah. How does the mini microphone sound? I hope this thing sounds okay. It's all I've got. So anyway, if you're just joining, I only have 15 people on. I had like 750 on like my first live, which was insane. If you can hear my cats running around, they're like losing their minds. So I'm sorry if you hear that background noise. How are we feeling about politics this week? Especially in Ohio. We've had some big shit going on in Ohio. So yeah. Oh, you worked for the Blade Sister in Pittsburgh? Oh, really? Oh, that's actually kind of cool. My cat's losing his mind. Does anybody else have cats that like freak out in the middle of the night? They like yowl at the ceiling. Sorry, I'm getting off track. In Ohio and Clueless. You know what? It's hard to keep track of Ohio politics because national television, this is my biggest beef to pick. National television does not cover Ohio politics for shit. And it's annoying. It's so frustrating because we have a gerrymandering initiative on the ballot and and the chance to end gerrymandering and have fair districts in our state and be able to sway the supermajority that we have, and nobody's talking about that nationally. None. No, there's no polls on my election. Sorry. There's not the money for that. But anyway, I digress. Does anybody have questions about anything? I haven't been putting as many videos out right now as I wanted to, but one thing I did want to talk about is in the environmental things that we're seeing, especially like this past week. Oh, sorry, with the heat wave that Ohio and like the Northwest has been experiencing. It's just absolutely insane, and we're doing nothing to combat that, and I think that's a really big issue. I mean, there's really simple things that we could be doing, and we're still just continuing to destroy our planet. I saw that the Biden-Harris, not campaign, sorry, my brain's tired. The Biden-Harris administration just released an initiative to help combat heat waves, and in urban areas, but the problem is that like partially urban and rural areas like mine are like really, really susceptible to heat waves, and we aren't really doing anything about it, and putting in things like concrete and continuing to mow and water grass is super unsustainable, and we're not going to be able to survive if we continue to do stuff like that. So I'd like to do a video on that and just kind of talk about those kinds of issues, but it's really frustrating. I think the Biden-Harris administration put like $14 million aside in a project for helping helping urban areas combat heat waves, but it's simple as planting more trees and cutting down on the amount of concrete. Like, these are bipartisan issues that affect everybody, and we don't do anything about them, and we're killing ourselves. You know, like, we can't survive in an environment when it's 95 degrees out consistently and we don't have any rain. That's just how things are going to go. But anyway, I'm totally missing your questions, and now we're up to 50 people, which I love. So if you're new and just joining, put any questions you might have in the comments. I'm 19 years old and running for the Ohio State Senate. The 19 isn't the important part. The important part is running for the state Senate. Am I an inspiring candidate? I hope so. It's my goal. So, anyway. Yeah, the heat island is getting worse in the Midwest. Yes, it is. And we're the tip of the iceberg there with that issue is that we're not doing anything to protect the largest freshwater source in the country, actually in the world, which is the Great Lakes. And if we don't have any water, we can't live in this area. Self-explanatory. So, anyway, put your questions in the comments. Yes, decentering car design. Also, investing in public transportation. That's a really, 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 really big thing and a big center of my campaign. Investing in public transportation will make it easier for people to get around, cut the cost of gas, cut carbon emissions, and invest more in the public sector. Just saying, there's a lot of benefit to investing in the public sector. My cat is in the sink right now. He's weird. Sorry. Investing in the public sector of transportation and just of infrastructure in general does so much more than just improve the way that people can, get around or make getting around in a city or an urban area or rural areas easier. It cuts down emissions, which help combat climate change. But anyway, what do you think about the election coming up? My election or the presidential election? Because I have really high hopes for the presidential election. I'm feeling really good about that. I think a lot of people are. Love what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Do you think the electric grid can handle all the EV? I think that we need to first cut down on the amount of electricity that we consume, and then we need to cut down on our energy needs to begin with, and we need to be a little bit more conservative with our energy needs, and then also invest in renewable energy, if that makes sense. Presidential in mind. Feeling really good about the presidential election, and also my election. I'm feeling really good about my election too. I think that the wave that we're seeing of support for Democrats and the support for Democratic initiatives is really, really strong, and that makes me feel really good. I have a good chance of winning my race too, so it's all about getting people out to vote. So, anyway, thank you. I love the tiny mic too. It's kind of hard to hold, I'm not gonna lie. I wish I had like a little clip or stand. I don't know. I don't really have all the high tech, so just doing this in my living room, because this is what a grassroots campaign looks like. Doing everything small and by yourself because your party doesn't give you money. Anyway. Yeah, I do need a tiny mic stand for the tiny mic. Absolutely. Anyway, if you're just joining, please pop any questions you have in the comments. As usual, I don't really have a direct purpose for being on here other than just wanting to hear what everybody has to say, and because I'm tired but not going to sleep, so